I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself, oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I'm always self-destructive, I take a hit, I love it. Can you give me a second? I'm slow, got blurry vision. I fall into a trap that I made by myself, oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. Please help me see the things that I am, I don't understand. I'm doing the best that I can right now, but it's never enough. I'm not even ready to slow down. Just slow down. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself, oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not.
Welcome, ladies and gents, to PSGL's final, I believe this is the final social race for PC. And what a social race lineup that we have. We have many names coming in today, some that I still am not too familiar with, but my good friend Sam is here to help me out. Sam, how are you doing today?
Yep, good evening everybody, and of course welcome to the show. Final social race, I think, obviously other than the one at 8 PM tonight, but this one is definitely a treat. A lot of names that, if you have been keeping up to date with obviously the Challenger Series or PSGL in general, that you are very much well aware of. A lot of F2 talent in here and a lot of F3 talent as well from last season, and a lot of those who have possibly come over from the PS side of PSGL as well. I'm looking at the likes of Xander Van Dyken and Cameron Dowds in particular, but obviously a lot of people from Xbox as well as PlayStation have come over, and they are taking a part in a lot of these social races. But it's not just about PlayStation and Xbox, it's also about the PC side, and there's a lot of guys from PC here tonight that you may well know, the likes of Ruben Pedreño, Luke Smith, and of course Ruben Vallejo and Georges Nader, who came from PS as well last game. Alfie Butcher's another mention. So yeah, a lot of drivers on show, a lot of talent, and if I'm honest with you, I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of names. Of course, once you translate it to more the Xbox names, then of course my brain goes, I know that guy. But you know, I'm looking forward to what these guys can present us. That's the main bit, because we're in the Circuit of the Americas, probably one of my favourite tracks to watch personally. It's just the track itself, gorgeous. It's got different sections, different feeling around it. And it's just a joy to drive around, but challenging at the same time.
Oh, it's the circuit I love a lot. The Circuit of the Americas, of course, short known as COTA. Austin, Texas is whereabouts this circuit is, and well, everyone loves the circuit, let's be honest. Very similar to Silverstone, and everyone loves Silverstone for the S section of well, the first sector, and then obviously the long straights of coming down to turn 1, and then obviously the back straight as well. So it's a very fun track. Is the United States Grand Prix here at COTA, and yeah, it's a very fun track for all these drivers, and I think there is very few that will say they dislike it.
I would be surprised if anyone turned around to me and went, I do not like the Circuit of the Americas, because I will take great insult, even as a British person, to someone saying they do not like the Circuit of the Americas. Ruben is the first one out on track. He's the kind of lead driver at the moment. What are we looking to see with Ruben's pace? Because as mentioned, you know these drivers better than I do.
Well, simply put, for most of these drivers, expect a lot of competition here this evening. Expect it to be very close. A lot of drivers who, like I said earlier, have come from the Challenger Series, of course, which is usually sort of like your esports under esports, let's say, but that's where a lot of these drivers have come from. Ruben Vallejo being one of them. He was I think he missed out on the top 6 on PC, but it's besides the point. PC is very competitive, as was the PS and Xbox platforms on there, and well, in PSGL as well. Ruben Vallejo in F2, I think he was last season, and well, last game really, as were a lot of these names, and just expect things to be really competitive, really close, and considering that placements haven't been done just yet, maybe this social race will give the directors something to think about, or some final thoughts about some drivers with, well, potentially their qualifying here, or even their racecraft later in the evening.
Absolutely. Ruben is on his lap. He's going through the S section. That's turn 5, 6, 7, 8, and through to 10. A very hard section of the track where one mistake will put you out of line and you lose truckload of times. And we're not talking just tenths, we're talking seconds if you mess up. Ruben holding it nicely, dropping it down to third, short shifting up. Now we've seen a lot, especially with these other tracks, we're seeing a lot of drivers using higher gears through these corners because of the cars. I don't know if you're more experienced around driving these cars, but I definitely for sure have noticed I'm driving in a higher gear than normal.
Yeah, it seems to be the sort of norm for most of the drivers. They tend to go for the higher gears because it gives them more traction, obviously, on the rear tyres, and therefore they can get out of corners much easier and have better exits. And it seems to be the norm. You look at the esports drivers, like, you know, obviously your Jarno Opmirs, Lucas Blakeleys, Barry Boremans. You see them and they're doing the same thing, really, as a lot of these guys are doing. And well, that just seems to be the way to go. That seems to be the tactic and the technique that these drivers have to be the quickest out on track. So tonight we will see a lot of those high gears, and maybe you'll have those sort of realist people in the comments be like, it's not realistic, but that's just the way it is. That's the way the driver's going to get quickest around the track, and well, that's going to be the way they're going to give us the best show possible.
Yes, indeed. And Norbert setting this time gets immediately destroyed by George, who goes to 132.2. So we're possibly going to be seeing some quite interesting pace here. I'm predicting this will possibly hit the 131s for sure, as we're only just getting started. As I think Max just put himself 2 tenths behind, and actually matching Norbert perfectly on timings. Marcus crossing line, he can only put himself 7th fastest, so a bit of work needed to be done. What can the Alpine driver do? He's about to cross the line. Looks to be a good middle, but I drive this. It's close within the second, but it's not as close as I've seen from previous races.
Definitely not. But we've got to think these are banker laps, aren't they? They're not exactly finisher laps, and you know, we get to the end of the session. I'm telling you right now, it will be much closer than what we've got currently. And we're looking early on, only 12 people have set a lap. There's a lot of people who have invalidated, a lot of people who have really just not really gone out. They've just got a feel for the track, and as we'll see times definitely go down as Simon Perigny goes up to P2, just off Georges Nader, who currently still holds himself in P1.
So you're saying I'm going to hold you by that these lap times are going to go down. I made a statement earlier. I think it's going to go to the 31s. Are you going to agree and back me with that idea, or are you going to say no, I'm talking out my ass?
Well, definitely. I think it's definitely possible to get into the 31s. These drivers are definitely capable. I mean, as I was saying earlier to a bunch of people who'll be racing here tonight, you'd expect some people who perhaps will get placed in F3 this season in PSGL will possibly be arguing, oh, well, I'm good enough for F2. You'll be getting those even in F2 saying that they would arguably be up for F1. And we look at F1 right now, we look at Q3, 7 of the 10 drivers got into the 31s, and well, it was quite convincing as well, but we do have to take with a pinch of salt. They do have free qualifying. They do have the normal 1 hour qualifying system, where we tonight only have short qualifying, but it's the low 32s at the moment. It's a good start for these drivers and a good breaking point. So, yeah, there's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see to see what these drivers can do.
Well, the second wave is coming in for the remaining 4... What is it? I can't do maths at the moment. Remaining 5 drivers who did not set a lap instantly. They are about to start their lap. So it's almost like a second wave is coming in while the first lot go into the pits. Ghost is going to be the lead driver to try and set a lap and see what he can do for the first time. So, first time out on track, well, not necessarily out on track for the first time for us. What can he make it through here? He's keeping it nice and close, pushing the track limits to its limit. You've got to cut as much as possible. Looks to be a purple first, according to the track map. Whether that is true, well, we're going to have to wait and see. Pushing wide as possible through the exit of turn 10 and down, and heavy braking. We're seeing drivers shift down to 4th and quick shift up to 5th out of turn 11 before hammering it down all the way. It will be hitting around the 190 miles an hour, depending on what, if you use miles an hour to kilometers, I don't know. Heavy braking, again shifting it down, this time to 3rd, a bit of a tighter corner than it is turn 10. Get the rotation in, shift up quickly, round turn 12, turn 13 and 14. And this corner is probably the hardest one of them all. Turn 15, because it curves in on the braking zone. So you've got to keep yourself straight as possible. Through 16, 17 and 18, it's actually 3 corners in what looks like 1 corner. Quick dab of the brakes through turn 19, and then comes turn 20, again shifting down to 4th, and then powering it out across the line, and Ghost putting us a lovely lap, putting him 3rd fastest.
Yeah, but there we go. Like I said, times will continue to go down, and well, it's a good start there from Ghost as Ruben Vallejo immediately gets us into the 31. So us maybe just dipping our toes in and getting to the 31s has just been told by us, really. Ruben was just like, yep, I'll be the first one to do that. A bunch of others still to finish. Alfie Butcher as well now, just finishing a lap. And these are the guys who are now starting to appear at the top, who we're looking at the favourites for this race. But like I said, things are so close on this grid. I just don't know who could be possibly winning this evening. And well, like I said, potentially quite a bit to play for. You know, if you impress people enough, maybe it could determine your spot in the end. for the whole PSGL season, which does get underway quite soon, actually, for everyone. Remember, the start of August is when the season starts officially for these drivers, and these are just more like, in football, your friendly matches, but they still do mean quite a bit of worth to some of these drivers, and some of them do tend to practice and still get those in because they want to enjoy themselves. They don't want to be at the back of the grid, hence why they do practice a little bit still for these sort of races.
Absolutely, and mentioning that, as a driver, you've got this already seeing the tier 1 drivers. They're already starting their season already, and then you've got the likes of these guys who are waiting to the end of the season. And I don't know if you're a driver yourself, if you do any racing, but the mindset must be a case of, all right, we've got the tier 1 drivers going. Let's start to analyze what they're doing and let's put this in practice. Hence why these social races are put in play. And you mentioned about pride, doing this for pride. Absolutely, you can rub it in everyone's face at the start of the season to say, look, I'm the quickest driver today. I am the one you have to fight against.
Yeah, everyone's looking to be the benchmark, obviously, and kind of steal the voices as well. At the start of every game, you usually have these drivers that pop up to be quite quick compared to what they were last game, and everyone's talking about it. Everyone's like, this driver is quick and everything, and everyone wants to be the benchmark of a new game, and I suppose the talking point. But then it's the second half of that though that really counts, is can you put the talking point on the track, and can you perform when it really matters? And Carter Lundy, I'm just watching on board with now, sliding through that sector 2, sector 3 split zone, very tricky through there, but I think he's, other than that, on a neat lap at the moment as we look at him through the final corner, and nice through out of there, gear 5 of course, and there we go, up to P4, just alongside his McLaren teammate, just missing out on beating him as well. In Ruben Pedreño.
He ain't going to keep it too long. George has been on a nice lap in the Williams. I think it's going to push him up right up to second, actually. It was quick, but I don't think it was quick enough. Where's the Mercedes driver of Simon? Simon also improving on his time, only by 1/10 as I saw for the quick marker, and he invalidates last second. So all that hard work, which would have put him up, well, he would have stayed 6th technically, but no improvement from him. Any of the rear drivers, are any of them going to improve? I'm trying to have a look around. We've got Coordinator. I do not know how to say his name in 15th.
Cordoningolo. Don't worry, you're not the only one. I had a bit of a struggle because I was doing F3 comms in PSGL last season, and he was one of those drivers that was just very consistent. As I say that, he goes for a spin. Doesn't show great consistency in a spin there, but yeah, Cordoningolo, very consistent last season. Not really given us a great sort of show to begin with when we're talking about him, but maybe it's the shock factor of us talking about him as he's down in P15, but he heads back into the pits anyway, and well, right now I think we're going to be in a period where things kind of calm down a little bit as people prepare for their final laps, as we've only got 5.5 minutes to go, so this qualifying has actually gone quite quickly at the moment.
It has, and to be honest, you're only going to really get 2 runs, and then the whole thing's over. So, well, I say 3, sorry. You get 3 runs, whole thing over. If you're doing the alternative method, so you're not going with the pace, you're then only going to get 2. So someone like Luke Smith, who hasn't set a lap time, and definitely needs to put a lap time, he's going to have to complete this lap, and he's going to have to recharge on the lap round before he can get one more shot if he wants to do 3 laps. Otherwise, it's not going to look too good. But Luke Smith, we're going to stay with him, see where he can put that Mercedes. Where is it in comparison to the rest of the grid? We don't have markers, we don't have knowledge. Coming round the final corner, he needs to look for one less than a 132. It's coming across the line. It's a 132.4. That's 10th fastest. It's decent, but he is in the danger zone from dropping below the 10th position.
Yeah, well, obviously it doesn't really matter now, the top 10, does it? With the strategies, anyone could choose whatever they want, but with Luke Smith there's definitely time in that lap. Again, through just at the start of Sector 3, really wrestling the car through the corners on the verge of spinning it, so definitely lost a 10th or 2 through there. So I feel there's a bit more potential in the final lap for Luke Smith when it comes around, but he did seem a bit under the pressure a little bit, and he doesn't really want to do that. But now he's got that lap in, maybe that pressure has come off him a little bit. He doesn't really need to put in a decent lap. He just needs to put in, well, obviously a better lap. But the later in the latter in the session you go, obviously the more rubber on the track there is, which therefore means there will be more grip. And well, we've got the top three drivers, first, third, and fourth. On a lap. I don't know whether they're going to come into the pits. Is Ruben Pedreño going to? No, he's not. As he's now going through the final corner to finish his lap. Is it an improvement? You bet you it is. And wow, 0.012 of a second. So that's 100th of a second off Ruben Vallejo. The two Rubens, 1 and 2, at the moment.
Alfie was on for what seemed to be a decent lap, but then went completely wide at the end. So his lap has become invalidated. Ghost has invalidated. Who is on a lap? Who is left on a lap? That's the better question, because a lot of the drivers are quickly diving into the pits. As, Xander has retired.
Oh.
He is done. His car's moving, so he is clearly done with today's session.
I wonder if he's invalidating on his lap and he's just decided to call it quits or something. I'm not sure, because he hasn't crashed out, unless he got a bit of damage. But this is a fairly open track; it's not a street circuit, so yeah, I'm not sure on that one. That's a bit interesting. Maybe he's satisfied with what he's got, or yeah, just maybe he's just given up for the rest of the qualifying. Who knows? It
could be anything. Could be anything. We're gonna see. Ruben's coming round into turn 16 now. He's going for a slow lap. Is he going to punch it? Because he's probably one of the top of the lead drivers, about to approach the start-finish line. Is he going for it? No. So that's Ruben. He's done. He's happy with second then, because he will not have time to pit and get back out. Once again, the leader on an outlap, only just starting. So the next in line is really... it's going to be Carter. Out of the top 5. As there you go, Ruben retires.
Yeah, I think he'd be satisfied with that, Ruben Pedreño. That's what he really is objectively looking for. Probably a top 5 start on the grid. Well, he must be satisfied being just off that pole time. He had a gun, it goes, and well, Harlan Marquez has just come across the line, didn't improve. Bit of a poor lap there from him, but yeah, everyone now going to be starting the laps as we're now down to the final laps. This is where the laps really matter, though.
Minute 18 on the clock. It's now or never. Carter will be the first of the top 5 to try and push himself to take top position. He is only done a 132, if I do my maths correctly. Yeah, 132.0. So he needs to lose 2 tenths somewhere. From the first sector, it's not enough. He's got to find even more time throughout this lap.
Yeah, and well, these drivers, they've done it all before. They know how it works under pressure. So, I'm not going to say Carter's definitely going to improve his lap, but I'd be fairly confident in saying that a lot of these drivers on this grid will be able to get that final lap in when it matters. Simon Perigny is one to watch out for. He's just up the road from Carter Lundy. I think he's actually the first one to finish a lap, so might be worth looking at him. He's 1 tenth up though at the moment, which doesn't scream to me that he's going to improve too much. However, it's usually that sector 3 start that's been catching a few drivers out, so definitely Simon Perigny could be in for a really good lap here if that is the case that he struggled on that. I think who was that? Cameron Dowles, I think, has just gone up to P8. That should be him done for qualifying now.
Ryan's
and everyone who comes across, everyone who comes across to their final lap now, well, that comes across the line will be their final lap as Perigny goes P4.
That's a good run from him. What's Carter got? He's only got 3rd fastest. So it's still open games as George. Wow. 1:31.81. So that's a decent lap time. Keep an eye out. No, Alfie's invalidated. So that's him done for today. Ryan, as I mentioned just earlier, had crossed the line, put himself up to P4. Now down to P6. Is he pushing for a lap? We're going to see in the sector time, possibly. Any other drivers, could they contest? I don't think so. Gonna be honest.
I definitely do. I definitely do. I was about to say Bence, but Bence is nowhere near. But watch for Luke Smith. He's almost 2 tenths up, and this was the bit where he lost a lot of his time. I don't know how much tenths he would have lost, but watch out for him. Maybe not. Maybe this isn't a contender for P1 right now, but it's definitely a contender to move him up the field. But we will see, as he's got one more corner to go. Looks very neat now through here. Much better than last time, much smoother than last time. As out the final corner he comes. What's it going to be? I was well wrong with that. He lost about 5 tenths through the last sector on the last lap then. Must have done, because he was only 2 tenths up. What a lap that is from Luke Smith as he goes P1 pole position right at the depth there. And like I said, you do not want to count these drivers out until the final lap has been done.
Luke Smith, wow, what a lap you put in, and almost dismissed from being on pole, and comes out of nowhere putting his foot down and stating his mark. Unfortunately, Alfie, you know, he was looking good on his lap, but invalidation's becoming a common problem, and that puts him down in P9. Ryan jumping in, doing the alternative pattern to everyone else, finds himself decently in P8 as well. So, you know, a couple of drivers that, you know, we didn't talk about jumping up and getting up there. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting race ahead of us.
Yeah, it's going to be very intriguing, of course. Luke Smith is now the hunted, isn't he? Whereas everyone else is hunting him. And we looked at George's Nader and we were thinking for a moment, that's not going to be beaten, is it? And then Luke Smith comes out of nowhere, bang. What a lap there. The only man into the 0.7s as well, with George's Nader and Ruben Vallejo and Ruben Pedreño, for that matter, also getting into the 131s. A little bit of a gap, though, between P4 and P5, almost 2 tenths. Between the two, well, actually not almost 2 tenths, but a little bit of a gap between 4th and 5th. And yeah, there is a few names that are up there and down there, and Alfie Butcher would be one of them looking to go up the field, as obviously he invalidated his final run. So watch out for the likes of him down there. Simon Perigny as well, probably looking to move up to catch up with his teammate on pole position. But yeah, we're in for, I think, a very, very exciting race. And I'm intrigued to see strategy. Although it has changed this game compared to last game, it will be interesting to see who will go and start on the mediums and who will start on the hards. I'm almost certain that will be the case. If anyone starts on the softs, I'll be very surprised, knowing how much these tyres heat up at this circuit, and they don't really last long, do the softs. So I will be very surprised if anyone decides to start on the softs. And if they do, it's definitely because they feel like their qualifying position was definitely not a representation of what they can do in the race.
Absolutely, and we see, as you mentioned, the hard and mediums are the go-to tyres, and you only really see those softs when they're punching in on a fastest lap. So it's all about when you come in. We're seeing drivers pushing these tyres, especially in tracks like Australia, Miami, Bahrain. They're able to push these tyres a lot further than you would in the previous game, which then allows to this unknown and uncertainty to when people are going to pit. Now, let's have a look. You know, they've just gone onto the track. So, what have we got news-wise? It's going to be Luke and George are going to start on the hards. You know what? Let's go do it the easy way. Who's on mediums? I think that's the easiest way to tell. Both Rubens are going to go on mediums. It's almost like they're brothers. Carter on mediums. Cameron on mediums. Xander on mediums. Darksea on mediums. The gentleman that we still struggle to say his name, Cordenigolo?
Cordenigolo.
It's going to be a struggle. Also on mediums, and Harlan Marquis on mediums as well. The rest of them start on hards, which is a bit odd normally, because a lot of the drivers previously have been starting on the mediums. So it's almost like they're trying out the hard to medium strategy.
Well, obviously, if I'm honest with you, I think the logic here is if you're on the hard tyres, you're going to have less fuel in the car, which means you're going to go quicker at the end on mediums. And if you're on the mediums going, obviously I'm assuming to hards as well, the best idea really for them is that they're going to get past the hard runners very quickly. So both Rubens there in P3 and P4 very confident they can get past both Luke Smith and Georges Nader, and then obviously run off into the sunset. And well, turn 1 is very open, so if they get a good start, then it's definitely possible. But those at the back, surprisingly, on mediums, probably just looking to build themselves up the field, because obviously early in the race it's probably a bit more easier to make a few moves than it is in the middle or the latter of the race, where obviously the grid's a bit spaced out, you've got a few DRS trains, and well, obviously when you're on the hards and everything, you're likely going to have to catch up on the mediums. So obviously this is really a game of strategy, of who's going to win. In the top 2, we're definitely keeping our eyes on P3 and P4.
Absolutely. For those who are new to F1 2022, yes, the drivers now line up by themselves because of the immersive element of the game. So you can see that McLaren, you can see the second one in, that'll be Carter. His angle is pointed inwards towards the track as they're able to line up themselves. Which means that we're going to get a bit of an interesting start as we wait for those 5 lights. There they are. 5 lights. And they're off, and it looks to be a good start by Luke, trying to cover off the Williams very early on. It does a successful job, but the Williams of George is going to go round the outside, and he has to hold it hard to be able to fight. But it's going to be Luke getting a good start. Ruben holding his position in the McLaren. Brilliant start. Who's that gone off to the side? Somebody has gone off as they filtered through the S's.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic start. And Carter Lundy, how has he got up to P3? I actually have no clue. He must have got a mega start. Quick note on Ruben Vallejo, he messed up the grid spot. So that's why he's obviously fell back, because he was now behind in that P3 position and he's lost a couple of places. But yeah, a very interesting start though, a bit chaotic through the S's, and everyone's moving about, jostling about. Simon Perigny and Ruben Vallejo going side by side now through here, but Ruben maintains his position in P5 at the moment. But Luke Smith, good start, very smart from him as well, on the grid, putting his car, angling it quite perfectly so he could cover off Georges Nader, who got also a very bright start as well.
Oh, collision near the back. It looks like a Haas. I think that's Max Weasel. No, it's Bogdan getting a bit tussly at the back. We're going to keep our eyes up the front. Simon, again, he's looking punchy. We said about all drivers, don't rule them out, but Simon had a tussle with Ruben, unable to be successful. But George up ahead, he's looking, he's wanting to do something, but Ruben Pedrino is on the rear and all. A bit of a kickback, and Ruben is now in danger. Luckily, somehow, he is able to keep it after a tank slapper of oversteer. Down the inside he goes, and is this just the way forward? Just tank slap your rear end and you get a bit extra speed?
Definitely not. I think Ruben Pedrino probably having a bit of a scare there, but he knows how to deal with it. Like I said, a lot of these drivers, all experienced, they know how to deal with this. And Georges Nader now, really, it's all important for him, and obviously Luke Smith as well when it comes to it, is now with these medium tyre drivers behind, just keep your head fixed on at the moment. You do not want to make any mistakes. You do not want to over push the car, and you know you definitely do not want to catch yourself in any collisions. And Ruben Pedrino now is going to be more likely to obviously have a collision, because he is looking to really go down the inside on a lot of these hard drivers at the moment to get by them. Carter Lundy,
I'm going to interrupt you quickly for the lead. It's going to be Carter lunging down on the inside of Luke Smith. Get this overtake done early, Carter has. And Carter, he started a little way down, has pushed his way up to the lead of the race on those medium tyres. So, going soft and going quick. Let's get it done early. The McLaren of his teammate, Ruben Pedrino, also getting punchy as well as he overtakes Georges. And both McLarens, I wish this happened real life, second and third.
Well, we obviously now know who you support in real life, but
there's no secret. Really,
but definitely a very good start from both McLarens. And you know, we said this about Carter Lundy as I was coming on to. What a start from him! And this is where the medium tyre drivers are really starting to come in to play now, as Ruben Vallejo down the inside of Georges Nader. And this is where it's going to be important for Georges now. A lot of hard runners behind him, a lot of them as hungry as he is to keep their position, and he's now going to possibly end up at the front of a hard tyre train. And for Luke Smith, this is a really, really good position for him right now. He's well away from Georges Nader now, and he's only got medium tyre drivers behind him who, well, they're going to get past, but I'm sure Luke Smith probably isn't going to be fighting it too much, because he does know he's now got a bit of a gap now to the hard runners who really he is in the race with at the moment.
Absolutely. We're coming down the DRS straight. It's lap 3, so you know what that means. The rear wing will open up if you are within a second. So, DRS train, if you're unfamiliar with F1, a DRS train is basically like this. It is a train of drivers with DRS, which makes it almost impossible to overtake unless you have ERS, which is the energy recovery system that you can deploy as a little bit of boost. Now, that is what's going to make the difference in a train to whether you overtake somebody or not.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're the third person or the second person in... Yeah, no, sorry, the third person in this train. Of course, the second person has probably the best seat in the house. But if you're the third person, or, well, the fourth person has the worst seat in the house, but the third person, definitely not a favourable seat in the house. Unless, of course, you're really behind the two ahead of you. And, well, in Simon Perigny or Alfie Butcher's case, this is where they are currently at, but it looks like Ruben's now got back into, well, the DRS of Ruben at the moment. So a little bit fluctuating in between, and, well, with DRS open now, this is a good opportunity for Luke Smith to keep with Carter Lundy at the front. And, well, for Ruben Pedreño and Ruben Vallejo, a little bit of a pain when it comes to getting past the hard runners now.
Absolutely. Up ahead, we've been seeing the gap between Georges and Ruben Vallejo. Sorry if I butcher your name. I try my best not to. It's almost at a second. And that is a major worry for Georges as he's trying to hold up the rest of the cars behind him. He needs that DRS to save his life, essentially. Otherwise, it's going to be hell to try and keep the other cars behind.
Well, possibly hell, but it's more the case really at the moment. You want to be that front hard runner, but it's just more important at the moment. He keeps with Luke Smith, who's under pressure now from Ruben Pedreño. Is he going to go to the inside? Luke covers it well, so Ruben Pedreño has to think up better tactics than that, because Luke Smith definitely has his number at the moment. But at the moment, I think Carter Lundy is in the best seat in the house, isn't he? Not only is he P1, he's pretty comfortable as well. 7 tenths clear of Luke Smith, so the DRS not proving too worthy, but I mean the grip that Carter probably has right now compared to Luke Smith probably does help him with that. So a good start for both McLarens, definitely. They're in the best seats in the house at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that Ruben is attacking Luke Smith is going to massively help Carter, because Luke is now going to have to look at the rear end of his car and focus on the McLaren behind him instead of the one in front of him. So time will be lost. And again, yes, down the straights, he's been able to close the gap, but through these S's, the cars are, in theory, supposed to not take as much... not lose as much downforce behind each other, but it's realistically you're still going to lose a little bit. So through these corners, Carter is slowly edging away.
Yeah, Carter definitely, I wouldn't say edging away, I'd just say he's in a bit of a chill spot at the moment until Ruben Pedreño finds an opportunity to get by. And, well, this is again Luke Smith's bother at the moment, is that Vallejo behind. He's not in a position to attack Pedreño, which means Pedreño hasn't really got that pressure from behind him, as Georges Nader now struggling to keep in that DRS zone now. This is going to put him under
hold
threat
up.
from
Down
Whitney.
the inside, Ruben's going to go for it on Luke. It's a little bit of a tail whacker on the exit. Oh, that McLaren was going... He's impatient. He's not waiting for it. He's done sitting behind this Mercedes. He wants to attack, so I will not be surprised that down this straight he possibly makes a lunge for it.
Yeah, man, there's definitely good reason for it as well. Look at Carter Lundy's gap now. It's now 1.2, 1.3 now away from Pedreño. So if Pedreño gets past Luke Smith, he's now got to catch in the DRS of Carter Lundy possibly. So this is why the desperacy starts to creep in, because same as the hard runners with Georges Perigny and Alfie Butcher behind, they cannot afford to get gapped by the guys on the same strategy, because that's basically a position lost in that case for quite a while, unless they've got obviously genuine pace to catch back up. And well, I said to you earlier, this is the guys who are looking to be in F2 and F3, and I said about the F2 and F3 drivers this season, it's going to feel like they're not going to be feeling like they're going to be in the position they want to be. There's going to be F2 drivers thinking they're F1, and there's going to be F3 drivers thinking they're F2. So that just shows how quick and how close everyone is. As looking behind now, who's this battling? Alfie looking very desperate.
Yeah, Alfie and Simon getting really punchy. Alfie does make the move work, but Simon aggressively defending there. He did not want to give up that position, but that was a ticking time bomb waiting to happen, and Alfie's been eyeing up his teammate ahead, going, I'm got to be ahead of this train, and I need to be at front. Because George is able to luckily keep a hang on to the front runners. You know, we said that, you know, they need to stay close if they want to fight on the strategy, because the hard runners will then go to the soft. So he needs to stay close, and I think Alfie's saying with that move, I need to be at the front because I am faster than all of you.
Yeah, definitely is the ambition for Alfie, and well, it's for all these drivers. They're scrapping for positions, but it was a really desperate move. You don't usually see that in DRS trains where drivers are able to close in. Maybe Perigley made a small mistake out of the hairpin onto that straight, but I'm not too sure. It does look like Alfie really starting to prove though that he is the quicker driver, as he is getting away slightly from Perigley, and Perigley does have to be careful. He might be under pressure from Jacobs behind, but at the moment, it does seem like everyone's just settling into the groove, and we will get to a point where the hard tyres, in fact, it might be quite soon, where the hard tyres are actually looking favourable over the mediums, as Luke Smith now slowly starting to close in Carter Lundy. Don't think he's going to send it here. It would be too risky this early on, as it goes quite deep, actually. Yeah. And Ruben Pedreño, his door's been opened, and he's going to go round the outside. That's not going to work, I don't think. There! Luke Smith with a real tank slapper there. That surprised me out of that corner, but that happens when you're under pressure, and Luke Smith really was feeling it there. And let's not forget, this track really does heat your tyres up as well, and well, it's really affected Luke Smith. So what was looking like a very, very promising position for the driver in the Mercedes has now turned into, I wouldn't say a disaster, but definitely a dissatisfying place to be.
Yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't anything to do with Pedroni. That was all self-error, and down now in 14th, there is still work he could do. That's the thing. If he strategized what he does now, because it's still one massive train here, he could pull something back. Luckily, the second McLaren has closed that 1 second gap, so there is a lot of pace on Ruben to maybe try and mount an overtake later on in this race, because he's already brought it down to 8 tenths already. So this man has pace. Clearly he's been reserving it for later on.
Yeah, both Rubens definitely now going to be stalking Carter Lundy a little bit up in the lead, and George Snyder now is going to be thinking, thank God for that, really, because now he's the leader of this hard train, but maybe not for long, as here comes Alfie Butcher now to the inside in turn 11. He's got it done before the corner, should have the position, and there we go, nice and easy for Alfie Butcher. And he had a bit of a tank slapper at the exit of that corner, hitting one of the sausage curbs. Got to be careful, and well, that has definitely damaged that sort of particular position, because now they're outside of a second, so bit of a catch-up now for the hard runners behind. But yeah, they're all playing around a little bit with those hard tyres, where the medium tyre runners are kind of just relaxing a little bit in the lead here.
Absolutely, and you know, I'm curious to what's going to happen with Alfie, because if he's worked his way up this field, he's now going to start to aim for both of the Rubens up ahead on the medium tyre. And I've seen this in, you know, the likes of the races in Miami. I've seen it in races in Britain, the races in Bahrain. You know, I've seen it in so many different cases that these hard runners at this stage become very pacey and almost equal to the medium tyres ahead of them. And it opens the field up to so many questions and I don't think we've worked out yet when the actual drop-off of the medium tyre starts. Because look at this. Alfie is completely within the mix of the front 4. He is now in contention to fight with these guys, and he's a little too far back at the moment to really make an overtake. But if he wanted to, he could close up that a little bit more, and he could go for the win of this race.
Well, I think most certainly it's more about just keeping in the zone where he's at the moment. He doesn't really need to take too much risks. He's in a DRS train, whereas Luke Smith, who was in P2 at the time, a move probably would have been actually quite a valuable thing to have, because tell you something now, ERS on this game, it runs out very quickly, but it is very, very powerful indeed. And well, looking at Carter Lundy's amount, it's just under 40 right now, so he's been using this battery a little bit, while Pedreño behind, who looks like he could be about to strike this lap. He's definitely got the ERS advantage. He's got an ERS advantage of almost 40%. So Ruben Pedreño at the moment really sitting comfortably, and well, he'll be starting to stalk his McLaren teammate up ahead.
Pedreño almost shoving Carter into turn 1. That camera angle makes it look so much closer, but shows the preciseness that these drivers are. The way these drivers drive is amazing. And you can never... It's amazing to watch. I have to give it that. Bit further back, it all seems to be quite calm, because technically this DRS train goes from 1st all the way down to 14th, which is where Luke Smith is. And then there is a 2-second gap, and then you've got this tiny battle for 15th, and then poor Marcus about 25 seconds back. I don't really know what happened to him and why he's that far back.
Oh, first of all, he has made a pit stop because he's only got 4 lap hold hards now. So, he's going to the end. It's Ruben Pedreño being tagged, I think, there by Ruben Vallejo, and in Ruben's expense, it's a 3-second time penalty for going off the track there. But I think that was a bit of a touch there from the Alpha Tauri. I'm not quite sure because I was actually on board with Pedreño, but he's still in 5th place, so he has been able to maintain and really has a kind of a good position to recover. But Ruben Vallejo slowing down. I think he kind of knows that he was in the wrong there, hence why he was slowing down. But he's actually coming into the pits now on the medium tyre, so either that's him thinking those mediums are done, or it's a different strategy change.
Might be, but the midfield has opened up. Where I mentioned I think it was either to myself or somebody else, once a mistake happens, everyone goes for it. They try to pounce, they try to squabble. There was a little bit of mess around there, and there was a couple of changes here and there, but it's actually in 9th, which we're going to see something possibly forming from Alexander as he's pushing along that Ferrari. Didn't get the opportunity, but I would not be surprised if he makes an overtake down into turn 12, or possibly into turn 11 if he gets a good exit here. He's a little far back, so we might have to wait and see what happens here. But I think he's a little too far back now. He had it down into turn 1.
Yeah, there's a little bit. I think it's a little bit down to the fact everyone is starting to run low on the ERS a little bit. A lot of flashing lights. Well, one flashing light from Matthew Roberts, which puts him in danger, but Xander behind him only has 10% more. So everyone's been using their battery quite a lot. No one's really been conservative of it, except for Ruben Pedreño, who's still got 75%. So I was saying earlier, he was in a really good position, and well, it kind of still counts. I wanted to see whether the medium runners are going to react to Vallejo at all, as Ruben Pedreño definitely does. He's into the pits then. That makes sense, obviously, because he was on a half spin, so a bit more tyre wear. But Carter Lundy staying out more importantly. I think that's called an Ngolo also into the pits. So started to get the medium runners in, and it looks like medium hard strategy is the way to go on that strategy at least. But the hard tyre drivers, you reckon they'll go hard soft? I think they will go hard medium, because I tell you what, those medium tyres didn't exactly seem like very good for long. I don't think the softs will be any better.
No, definitely not the softs at this race, as we're going to kind of wait until when the leader will come in, because I don't think it'll be too long for himself as he's got Alfie, who has been rushing through the field. That man has been impatient today. There you go, the Williams. He's only 3 tenths, or it's now turned to 5 tenths behind the McLaren on those hard tyres. I don't think Alfie's going to wait too long. I think he's going to try and make the move in the next couple of laps, as he is getting closer and closer, but not close enough. Into turn 12 we go, and he has to be patient unless he gets a good exit in around turn 13 and 14. No. Patient is virtue.
Yeah, and I mean, Alfie probably knows Carpen's coming in this lap, or at least very soon, so he's probably going to eye him up really for turn 1 here, as there's a lot more open at turn 1. I just want to mention Perigny's fell back a lot from Alfie and George's, and now could be under threat now from Ryan Jacobs in 5th place as Carter stays up for another lap here. And this is an interesting strategy from Carter, because I think all the other medium runners are into the pits. No, they're not. Never mind. Van Dyken, Dowds and Darksea all still staying out another lap. So a bit of an early call perhaps from Vallejo, Pedreño and Cordon-N'Golo. But I don't really know what's going to happen now, whether these medium runners are going to stick around until they're out of the DRS zone, because that is also a way to go for some people. Just make back the time you lose through the lack of grip, or the loss of grip on the mediums, by the speed on the straights.
Yeah, that is one method. Also, I've been seeing a lot of the overcuts working brilliantly well as Alfie's getting ever so closer. He might make a move. No, he's not going to do it into turn 11. He needs very good traction out of the exit, and that looks like enough to be close enough to take the lead of the race as he will pull up by the side of the McLaren. Alfie will take the lead of the race before the pit stop stage. The question is, will he keep it when he does eventually pit? Because provisionally, he is holding first.
Yeah, well, if Carter Lundy becomes a bit like a Giga Kubica, as you may want to mention it, and defends for his life against Georges Nader, then possibly for Alfie Butcher, should I say, perhaps it's a good opportunity for him to get away, but Carter's surely not going to stay out too long. He's going to react now, surely. Yep, there we go, late into the pits, but Carter Lundy now into the pits. So it's a Williams 1-2. So we've seen a McLaren and a Williams 1-2 here today. Well, it's now a Williams 1-2. That's a real flashback to the past. But Simon Perigny now back into DRS. So he has found his stride a little bit. So the hard runners are now going to be running at the front of this train now. So for Alfie Butcher in particular, it's a very good chance to show what he's got.
Pedreño is on a lap. He is about to overtake Carter Lundy into the first turn. Carter Lundy, oh, they collide! They collide! Oh no. My God, both McLarens go at each other, and there is collision, because that was what I was watching. Carter Lundy getting his elbows out into the first corner, and he says, no, I want to maintain what is mine, the potential second, the potential first. He has rammed off Ruben off the track.
Well, I only saw the latter stages of the incident. I don't see how it goes, but if that's the way you're describing it, then Carter probably is in the wrong then, because he is on cold hard tyres. Those hard tyres are cold, and they're definitely not going to have the pace. And it would have been silly anyway for Carter to be ahead of Pedreño when you think about it, because Ruben Vallejo now ahead of that train. It would have been best for them just to stick in DRS and work together to get past the other Ruben up ahead. But Carter kind of costing Pedreño massively, but also costing himself, I'd say, quite a bit. And, well, Ruben Vallejo, once the hard and medium runners pit now, will likely be leading this race. And, well, obviously the 3-second time penalty will discard that. Without the 3-second time penalty, he is currently the guy leading this race once everyone decides to pit. And well, would you look at that? A lot of hard tyre runners pitting, and of course we're on lap 15 out of 28, so they're going to go half on hard, half on medium then.
Ooh, spicing things up like a good spicy meme. It's going to be interesting to where it all unfolds, but pitting this early, and I'm assuming it's is it the mediums? Can we get confident? Yep, so going on to mediums this early on, yes, it's a lighter fuel load, so they will be able to it won't take a lot out of the tyres as much as it would have at the start, but you're still going to have not as grippy tyres at the end. So the likes of Alfie and George and Simon up ahead, they're going to go long. They're going to go as long as they can to preserve essentially a fresh set of tyres. Yes, you've still got to keep an eye out for the likes of Carter and Rubens, well, both Rubens as well, but I don't know, I feel it's too early. That's what I'm trying to say, it's a bit too early in my eyes.
Possibly. I mean, the mediums obviously can make it to the end, because obviously those who started on it were able to go on it, but yeah, I kind of do agree. I think maybe sticking around on the hards for a bit longer is the way to go. We'll see how the leaders react, if any of them come into the pits and go on to hards early. Yep, Ryan Jacobs into the pit now, but this is all a case of these guys wanting to undercut and get the heat into those medium tyres and get on the move. And it is a good strategy for those who are stuck in the midfield, because obviously they can work their way up the field early. They're on the better tyres, they're on the fresher tyres, the quicker tyres. And, well, would you look at that for Xander Van Dyken going onto the softs, which is, I mean, we said about the mediums being early. I think that is well early for the soft tyres, but you never know. We've seen miracles before. I think it's good from Xander to experiment. This is only a social race, let's not forget. So he's definitely looking for a good run on these soft tyres. And, well, if he makes them to the end, I'll be very, very surprised. But, you know, these guys have practice, so they know how long those tyres can go, being the soft, medium or hard tyres. So going to be an interesting one to see there for that Aston Martin.
Yeah, we definitely have to keep an eye out, because yes, Xander will be fast on the get-go, and look at him, he's technically in the pit stop group, he is 4th. So he is going to look to try and push up that, close that 3-second gap as fast as he can, overtake Ryan, overtake Carter, get to the front of that train as fast as possible. But, I don't know, 12 laps on softs? On the old game, yes, I would say it's possible, but you'd be running on 60% tyres. I don't know. I'm interested. As the leaders, well, it's not the leaders, it's George and Simon is gonna... Sorry,
Nope.
George's Ghost and Roberts are gonna pit. Where are they gonna come out?
I think, going by the trend, I think they might come out quite relatively early. I think Vallejo may get by them. In fact, no, they probably won't. There we go. George's Nader out. Oh, this is going to be tight here. Ruben Vallejo coming now towards Nader. Maybe he might get past Nader on this opening lap, as those tyres will need heating up on the mediums. But they will take quicker than what the hards do, so maybe it's a different story. Alfie Butcher, though, he will remain in the lead. And so will Simon Perigny here, as here goes Vallejo. Oh, probably not. It's probably a really awkward corner to overtake, so he backs out of it and really just prioritises his exit here. But even with that, Nader rather keeping calm ahead, but with the DRS, it looks like the inevitable is going to happen. I say that, but Vallejo has had a terrible corner there. Maybe Carter-Lundy just hit to the back of him there. I'm really not sure. But Nader there been kind of saved by the poor exit there from Vallejo in the end. But Alfie Butcher still continues to lead this race. Georges Nader, though, is technically in the net lead once these guys come in at the moment, until obviously Alfie comes in. And, oh, would you look at that? Alfie staying out for another lap here. So he's still confident in those hard tyres and that they can deliver better pace than the mediums.
I don't know what his lap times are. If possible, you're able to check that for me with the race director. As Luke Smith is out, Luke Smith has retired from the race in the pits. For whatever reason, he has retired. Which is odd. Yes, he wasn't necessarily in that complete battle, but he still had potential to get some good points. As why is so odd? Why retire?
there is obviously a possibility he's got other things to do. Remember, it's a
So I'm going to
social
hold you
race.
there, sorry. Simon and Ruben are going side by side through the S's. They are, as Ruben will get past Simon, but now Carter also getting involved. I think Simon has just come out of the pits. Those cold medium tyres are not doing him too well. He's lost 2 positions now in the space of getting out of the pit lane. And he's got to fend for his life as the Ferrari of Ryan is going to launch it down the inside into turn 11. They've got to try and not make contact as Ghost, also on the medium tyres, pitted a little bit earlier, has heated up his tyres a bit more. Down the straight we go, and Simon has got the straight line speed going 3 abreast, and Simon can pull the position back through turn 12, getting his elbows out, forcing the Ferrari off the track, and Simon saves himself a position. But the Ferrari of Ryan has got to be careful of Ghost because he's trying to nudge his front wing through the car somehow, but he has to remain where he is as Alexander on the soft has just joined that pack as well.
Yes, Sander looking actually very quick on those soft tyres, but it's more about the endurance of it at the end of the day. But this is where things are going to get tricky. This might be worth watch actually now. Xander Van Dijk, and watching him on the softs, he's dropped back a little bit, but definitely the grip on those soft tyres will definitely give him a lot of potential. Surely no move will be done here from him.
Simon's doing ridiculous. A move though. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in. Simon overtaking Carter. He's found the heat in the mediums, and already once fired up, those mediums are going. He's already pushing Ruben out the way. He's saying to him, boy, step aside. I'm ready to pounce because he is fast. He's pushing him at 2 tenths. He's more likely to make a move into turn 11. There we go. Simon into turn 11 will take the lead as Ruben will try and fight back. He does get a better exit. Down the straight we go. It's a straight line speed, but Simon will get the DRS. Bit further back, Carter is having to fend off Ryan as Ryan's trying to dive one down the inside onto Carter. He's going to get pushed wide. Simon is going to go extremely wide as Ryan will gain a position on Ruben and Carter as they're still going at each other. Carter dives it down the inside onto turn 15. He is going to keep it for now, but I don't think this battle is going to end because Ghost is on to the battle as well. And don't forget Alexander on those softs. Don't forget he's also got potential as well as the train backs up with Matthews and other Ruben. As both Rubens in 10th and 11th. Don't know how that's happened as Alexander's having to defend on those soft tyres. Nearly locks up into his teammate, but just holds it off. Further up, Alfie. Also, his mediums have punched up and Georges is looking weak. He is looking in danger and about to lose second place. And I'm surprised because he also is on medium tyres. I don't understand, but a turn 11 move is almost guaranteed. Holds position, and we're going to have to wait to turn 12.
Yeah, I tell you what, Alfie at the moment looks absolutely on rails at the moment on these hard tyres. You asked me to look at the race director. He was saying really quick lap times on the hards, and now he's on to fired up mediums. He is looking absolutely rapid, and the way he's closed into Georges Nader, got the move done. It looks like he's really in a strong position, and if he closes up a little bit more, maybe some extra DRS to help him defend on the straights from Bentz here. And would you look at that, it's 7 tenths already. Alfie Butcher just got so much confidence in those medium tyres. Now he's off the obviously the hard tyres, which are the worst tyres to be on when it comes to the grip. So Alfie Butcher really now starting to get into his stride as Ryan Jacobs picks up another penalty. We've seen quite a few of them this evening, and well, this midfield battle, I'll tell you what, it is really, really spicy indeed. It's calmed down a bit right now, but there's a lot of drivers still contending for positions at the moment, and well, contending for a podium if we take away the penalties.
Yeah, we've got a rule put in the penalties as well. That's going to play as a massive factor. Oh, Ruben nearly gets taken out by Norbert. Norbert is going to go side by side. I was just watching this just as a kind of a settle screen. And those medium tyres for Ruben in the McLaren are not favouring him all too well. He is still dropping backwards in the field, and I was always expecting there to be another collision.
Yeah, well, Ruben Pedreño, if I'm honest with you, he's had a very rough race today, hasn't he? Started off quite strongly and everything, and yeah, he's still in the fight, of course, but on hard tyres, really it's going to be more towards the end of the race that he's going to attack, but at the moment, he's having a very rough one today, and he's been punched around and kicked around a lot, it has to be said, in this lobby. So, yeah, fair play for him to continue fighting, going up the positions. And I think we're now starting to see the effect, by the way, of Zander's soft tyres. They're really starting to head off for him. And look at that, the gap now 1.4 seconds. But he's not particularly under threat from Matthew Roberts behind at the moment. But that gap is just climbing and climbing. And, well, the adventurous and experimental strategy from Zander Van Dijken just has not worked for him as he's clipping over the curbs, and yep, into the pits he comes. It's going to be a two-stop strategy at the end of the day. It's a strategy definitely worth looking into, and it just hasn't worked, and well, he knows that he's not really going to get anything from this, and has just decided to retire in the pits.
Well, he got a sniff of battling. He didn't do the battling, but I'm sure if those softs, if he'd done that strategy, maybe had held out a bit longer and then went to the softs around about now, we might have seen Alexander getting involved and enjoying this race just that little bit more. I'm keeping an eye on the battle for the last podium position, which, to be honest, is anyone's game. Simon, Ryan, Ghost, and Carter all within contention, and I'm going to remove Carter now because he just dipped into the second mark.
Yeah, well, Carter, of course, on the alternative strategy. Well, not really the alternative strategy. Starting on the mediums and going to hards. He made that first stint work a treat, really, for him, being at the front. But this second stint kind of been plagued a little bit by his attack on Ruben Pedreño out of the pits. Maybe bringing in a little bit inexperience. Remember now, the tyres, when you come out of the pits on this game, really are not fired up from the get-go, and you really have to warm them up before you can start attacking. And well, that inexperience maybe from Carter Lundy, as we've seen with quite a few drivers, it's not just Carter in this case.
Ruben Pedreño, sorry, I butchered his name again, just got spun by Norbert bit further back. Continue.
Yeah, and well, Carter, of course, amongst other drivers, coming out of the pits and really getting himself in a bit of trouble. And yeah, it will be something this year in league racing where drivers will have to get used to. And if they don't, obviously they're not really going to be favourable in positions. But Carter Lundy, at the moment, he has recovered his race quite well. And on that alternative strategy, that medium-hard strategy right now, possibly looking to gain a few positions, but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer for those mediums to start wearing out a bit for him. So expect a small charge perhaps from Carter Lundy at the end, but his ERS is kind of a bit alarming at the moment. It's down to 1%.
Oh, yeah, definitely needs a couple of recharge laps. Yes, it would put him... I was going to say, yeah, he needs to do that, but actually that would put him in massive danger if he did go for a couple of recharge laps, because it would mean that he would then lose the DRS. Is up ahead, Ryan Jacob, getting a little punchy here. He's getting also very, very impatient as he nearly pushes Simon off the track, but able to keep the car in control. I've got a feeling that this is going to go down to the last lap, and it's going to be a last lap tussle between the top from 3rd to 5th, is my prediction. I would agree with you with the Carter Lundy that it could come in. He needs to sort out his ERS problem. How he's going to do that, I have no idea.
If I'm honest with you, it seems to be a general trend for everyone. We're looking at the top two, still less than 10%. Looking at everyone else, roughly around 20% or less than that. No one's really been saving. Everyone's just been stuck in the same sort of zone at the moment. And well, I think it's going to be more down to the case who's protected their tyres the best, and well, whether obviously in Carter's case, whether he can mount an attack or whether he can be effective in that attack, and that's something we will wait and see. But 4 laps to go after this lap, 25, 6, 7, and 8, and then obviously to the checkered flag. And well, for Alfie Butcher, it looks like the checkered flag. It looks like he's got one hand on the checkered flag, or one hand on the trophy is usually the phrase you'd use. So Alfie at the moment.
You've done the commentary curse. Something's gonna happen now. I guarantee you, because we said it that early.
I definitely do not want to curse it, because Alfie has driven, let's be honest, an incredible race. To be honest with you, the pace he has shown on the mediums has been cut above everyone else. On the hard tyres, it was very strong as well. He got to the front of the field from what was a disappointing qualifying, and I think I mentioned, because Alfie was the one who invalidated his last lap, wasn't it? I did mention that watch out for Alfie in the race, because he would be one of those drivers, considering he was one of the only ones to invalidate that last lap, that probably didn't get the best out of the potential he had. And well, in the race, it has really shown. It has to be said, he's cruised himself way past everyone else in this race, and a couple laps to go. And yes, we don't want to jinx it. It does look like Alfie is on his way to a pretty smooth victory in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Another driver I want to talk about is this driver here, Ghost. Just to make some note to it, I think he's gained 7 positions off his starting place. And a massive well done to Ghost, because he started on those hard tyres. He decided to go for the different strategy along with Alfie, and he slowly just kept himself within the field, you know, keeping himself out of trouble, but making those critical overtakes where he needs to, particularly the people who are struggling. And look where he is. He's in 5th. He's in battle and potential, if he can just push himself a little bit further, to get himself onto a podium. So Ghost, absolutely a possible driver of the day. That being said, chat, I know I don't acknowledge you that much, but we do have one eye on you all. Put down in the chat who you think driver of the day should be. My vote's on Ghost, because of his performance in the background has been absolutely amazing. And I know I don't want to speak for you, Sam. I think you're gonna go Alfie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Alfie. I mean, yes, it's all good getting past the positions, but I think more or less, like I said, Alfie's pace, the fact, and he's made up a lot of positions as well. He started P9 on the grid as well, Alfie did. So Ghost is all good getting through the field, but getting through the field and then winning by what looks like to be a substantial margin. And again, I do not want to jinx it. It looks pretty clear that Alfie probably is a firm favourite for driver of the day. Well, that's obviously just my opinion. But everyone else's opinion obviously does count as well in that. But Alfie, for me, driver of the day, pretty clear as he continues to go up 10th by 10th, clear of George's Nader, who obviously is on the older tyres, to Alfie's joy. So Alfie's got fresher tyres, the better tyres than George's. But other than that, Alfie has just been really the star of the field in this race in the end.
Talking of driver of the day, I said about Ghost. Ghost was about to make that attack. He's about to do it now. He's going to go round the outside, long way round, onto turn 12. But he's going to have to be patient, because also Jacobs is getting punchy onto Simon, because he had to brake late. Through turn 13 we go. Ghost still going for it. He's got to make this move now. It's lap 26. Round the outside. He is sticking it through turn 15, but because that overtake attack has now happened, Carter is within play. He's within striking distance himself, so we might be seeing that McLaren getting involved as well, because Ghost is having to back off after making that lunge. We're about to go on to lap 27 for this lot, as Alfie pulls ahead even further. Will Carter lunge one down the inside? No, he did not get a good enough exit on turn 20, so he has to wait.
Yeah, and Carter Lundy just stalking this battle at the moment, and the more these guys continue to battle, the better it is for Carter Lundy on those hard tyres, which will now start to come into play. We'll now start to see because on the last one it was around 10-11 laps on the mediums, which caused obviously the effect where the hard tyres were better, and this is where Cartalundi's coming in. It's a better line through there than Ghost, but again, just no ERS towards the end of the race. No one's got ERS really to attack, and again, like I said, there's a lot to learn. It's the start of the game. There's a lot of new differences for these drivers, and this, I think, is going to be something for them to learn, is to not use their battery so aggressively now, because this is probably moves now that Cartalundi could have had in his wing that probably is not going to happen now, just simply because he has not got the power on the straights to get by, and obviously all these guys in the DRS train, meaning that no one's really at disadvantage other than the train leader.
So, yeah, Simon is not got his light on. The other two, Ryan and Ghost, flashing away, and I know Cartalandi's flashing away as well. I can see it on his steering wheel, 6%. We're about to go on the final lap. We'll stick with this lot for a bit, but we will talk about what a run George has had, what Alfie has had, and George's Nanda, who's been sitting in second ever so tightly and keeping it nice and chill. To be honest, he's not had any battles or dramas himself.
No, he hasn't, and well, obviously he had that small battle with Alfie, but it was barely a battle in the end. But Georgius, obviously, he was sitting there as the highest hard runner on this strategy at the front. He's just been, like you just said, really running his own race, particularly on the medium strategy. When it was hard to medium, he was kind of in this sort of zone where he was battling some of those on the medium hard strategy at the start. And he was also battling the likes of Perigny, who have obviously just disappeared from it because they've had their own battles, and Georges has really just stayed out of it. And at the end of the day as well, George has picked the right strategy, and well, obviously it's worked out for him, and obviously the leader as well, Al.
Yeah.
On the final lap, which we've just forgot. We are on the final lap here right now.
Exactly. Alfie in the mid pack didn't get the almighty run. I think he got 9th on his qualifying, or was it 8th? One of the two. So definitely not showing the pace that he is capable of. But throughout this race, he has demonstrated the skill, the pace, and the determination that he wants to win. Alfie crosses the line and wins the United States Grand Prix and wins the social race of the PSGL.
Yep, and I think George's Nader into P2, and who's going to get P3? It's Ghost. So, yep, two guys absolutely going well up the order in Alfie and Ghost here. Cartalundi in P4, and look at the penalty as put for Rigney down into P6 at the moment. Cameron Dowd into P7. I think that's the first race, well, I've seen him on the PC platform, because he's obviously come over from PlayStation as well. So, some good showings from those who on the previous game obviously was on a different console, but more importantly from Alfie Butcher, I have to say it is a very, very commanding performance. And when I said earlier about maybe reconsiderations, potentially this is the last opportunity for a reconsideration, or a factor, I suppose, in potentially placing drivers. Maybe Alfie Butcher is going to be one to look at, and I'm not speaking of F2 here. Maybe possibly there might be a little bit of murmurings going around to just stick him in F1, or well, put him in the reserves obviously for F1, because that grid is already filled, of course, as we started the season. So those who usually are around to watch the F1, maybe watch out for Alfie Butcher. He might be knocking on that door to get a little seat in F1, well, when obviously it's available for him. But this was definitely a race for those in F2 and F3. We're looking at the best guys, obviously outside of those in well, let's put it, the esports tier of F1, because that's basically what it is. These are the best of the best that you're going to find in the tiers below that top tier. And well, Alfie pretty commanding. George's Nader, has to be said, also commanding. Both Williams. It's a Williams 1-2 here, and I mean, I wouldn't have said that at the start of the race. P2 and P9, obviously they were starting on the grid. One remains P2, and the others moved up 9 positions to take the win.
Ghost moving up from 12th to 3rd. What a race for him. keeping the car clean, no penalties to his name, meaning that he's able to push his way up. Carter Lundy also gaining 2 positions. Then Ryan Jacobs also gaining a few positions himself. Simon in 6th. Cameron Doze in 7th from 11th. Norbert from 14th gets 8th. But then Max Wizzle drops positions from 5th. And then Matthew Roberts remains in 10th. And wow. Oh, wow. What a race. I honestly don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good race. And, it's a good advertisement because right now, other than the esports guys, and I tell you what, there is a different type of breed when it comes to the racing in the lower tiers. And people think, oh, because they're slower, it's going to be worse. I tell you what, the action is definitely valuable to watch. So those who do sit around on the Wednesday and watch the F1 tier, definitely think about watching on Thursdays as well. Watch your F2, watch your F3, because those guys are probably more hungry because they are definitely the ones that are rising up to challenge the esports drivers. And I mean, this is why these guys love to race in PSGL, because it gives them the opportunity to race up against the best in the world, the likes of Freddie Rasmussen, Jarno Opmeer, of course. And this is the opportunity that they get, and, well, they're getting it right here. And the action is definitely top-notch. So for those who have watched tonight, definitely use this as an advertisement, not only to watch Wednesday nights, but Thursday nights as well.
Absolutely. And just quickly, thank you for the title sponsor, GT Omega, for sponsoring this league. An absolutely brilliant company, making brilliant chairs that I still need to get my hands on. When are they going to send one to me? That's the question it is. And also to Griv Rivals for sponsoring this event as well. Absolute great sponsors and great racing. Last few words from you, Sam.
Well, I think I've really just had my last words there, I would have thought. Because, it's just a huge advertisement for league racing and more the, purity of league racing alongside the esports guys as well. And, well, the other thing if you're really not done with the action, definitely head over to the other stream. We've got another lobby up there, commentated by King Kodiak and Dan Field. So definitely tune into that one, because we've got probably the same sort of quality of grid on that grid there. So if you want more league racing action, head over to there now.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure to commentate with you guys once again. And again, stay tuned for the next stream, which will be, again, more action in the Circuit Americas. And don't worry guys, it's not too long until you guys are going to be racing as well. If you are still hungry for action, there is, of course, the F1 League, the actual F1 top tier boys racing it out. Stay tuned with them and stay tuned with all of the socials relating to PSGL and to keep up to date with all